Yeah. I don't ever remember feeling like this. But I'm out here in these YouTube streets. So I want you to get your fingers.
I don't know what you're doing.
I want you to
right
get
now,
your mouse.
I want you to check me out.
And I want you to check me out.
Get ready to do this. It's the relationship rehab. Like, share, and subscribe. We coming at you live. So come on, let's take a ride. Hit subscribe to United Guns of America. Just click that link and listen up to what I'm telling you. It's the relationship rehab.
Click that link right now. You know what I'm saying? It's your boy Brian Redmond, and I just want y'all to subscribe to my channel. You know what I'm saying? I want you to let me know what you think. I'm gonna talk about some things, you can talk about some things, and we can do our thing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's all about having a conversation, right? I mean, if we can't talk to each other, then, I mean, what are we really here for? I want y'all to be able to just come over to my channel, talk to me about what's going on with you, and I can tell you what's going on with me, and we can build some things, you know what I'm saying? That's all about growth, baby. So click that link, go ahead and swipe on your phone, whatever you gotta do. Share my content. It's just get me out here, baby. Cause we just talking, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I like doing what I'm doing because it's about the people. It's about us having a conversation with each other. It's about us discussing whatever needs to be discussed. And on these YouTube streets, this is the best place to do it, baby. Like, share, subscribe. That's right. Click the link. Click the link. Yeah. I just want to say thank you to everybody that's out here that's already subscribed. You know what I'm saying? Cause y'all ain't the first one, and y'all ain't the last one. So I just want to give a shout out to everybody that click the link, that click the share, and then subscribe to your boy. Cause we gon' grow this thing together, baby. Relationship rehabbing, United Guns of America. To the world, blow up, baby. Yeah. Click the link, baby. Click the link, baby. Yeah. Hey, I just wanted to send a shout out to all y'all. I love y'all. That's why I do this. It's for the love of us, baby. I appreciate all of y'all. Ooh, we gon' do this thing. We gon' do this thing right here, baby. Hey, look, if you at a computer right now, just go ahead and click your link. What else you got to lose, baby? Tell me what you think. Hit the comment section. You can jump on the live panel. We do it all here. That's what it's all about. So come holler at your boy. I've been doing this for years, but I just got onto this YouTube thing. So hey, let's see what it do and where it can go.
To United Guns of America. Just click the link and listen up to what I'm telling you, telling you.
I would explain the definition of ballin' to you white folks, but no.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Brian Redmond, and this is yet another show of the Relationship Rehab, and I think my show would go a lot better if I could turn on my camera. There we go. All right, everybody. What's going on? I want to give a shout out to everybody who's enjoying the show so far. Shout out to my man. Let's see who's the first one in the chat. She the Cool P. What's happening? First one there. Shout out to Michael Brown. Shout out to my channel subscriber, Calvin Dickinson, thank you. Shout out to Juan. Hit your boy with $10 already. Hey, man, I appreciate it. That gets me motivated. That's what I'm talking about. Shout out to Linda Soto. Shout out to my man Smitty, Chef X. Shout out to another channel supporter. Yes, sir. Rehab in the building. My man Tremaine Whammer. There we go. We got Alex in the building. What's happening, Alexandria? We got my man Matthew Noel, the Miss Bales in the building. A day in the life of DJ Matt 121. What's happening? What's going on, Phil Brad? And my man Poco 29. Yes, indeed. And last but not least, my man Ronald Hot Boy. What's up with y'all? How y'all doing? I'm doing all right on tonight. It has been a busy weekend, but nonetheless, it's been good. And I'm glad that I had time to come and do a show one more again. Please click that like button on your way into the building. Please, please, please hit that subscribe button if this is your first time here. And without further ado, we're going to move into my favorite part of the show before I get started. So let's do this.
Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use and is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107.
106. Yes, indeed. USC 106. Now, before I get started on tonight, I wanted to do just a little something different. I wanted to show you all something that I came across earlier today. And it was something for me where I was really kind of like impressed, number one, by not only the words that were said, but the way that this person actually said what it was that they said. It was very on point. It was very on purpose. It wasn't a bunch of BS being just tossed around. And I really do appreciate that when it comes to, shout out to Glenda Smiles a lot. What's happening, Glenda? And I really do like the fact when we have people, especially in politics and especially when they black, when they can actually just articulate themselves and make their point and keep it moving. I was really, really happy to see that. And this is one of those things where I agree with what the brother was saying, but I wanted to actually show you guys. Oh, I got it already saved. I thought I didn't save it. Well, look at that. Me being all proactive and shit. Yeah. I ain't even got it. I could just pull the video straight on in. That's what's up. All right, I'll just pull it in. So, without further ado, I want to show y'all this. And this guy made nothing but just absolute sense. And I was so glad that he spoke the way he spoke and he said what he had said. So, without further ado, let me let you guys hear Mr. Byron Donalds.
Gentleman from Florida, Mr. Donalds, is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Madam Chair, also thank you for the indulgence before we have to go vote. Heard a lot today. Don't want to do too much speechifying because we do that too often here. Ms. Swearer, it's been referenced a lot today, actually, about the need for universal background checks and closing the quote-unquote gun show loophole. Can you actually explain in detail what that policy actually means?
Sure. So universal background checks start with this general conception of what could be, at its core, legitimate. Right now, most gun sales, whether it's brick and mortar gun stores, whether it's bought over the internet, anything that occurs interstate, those require a background check under existing law. The only exception is for intrastate sales between private sellers, and that is largely because they do not have access to the NICS system. They cannot, like FFLs, call up the FBI and say, hey, can you run a background check? Now, could that theoretically be a way that interstate sale for individuals who are otherwise prohibited to obtain firearms? Sure. As I point out, the problems with H.R. 8 and all of those other bills is that this is a low reward endeavor. This is already not how most criminals are obtaining their firearms. They're already obtaining them through the black market, through informal channels that are not in any way, shape, or form addressed by interstate private sales. And on top of that, things like H.R. 8 would criminalize a whole host of responsible temporary low-risk transfers between law-abiding citizens, like if your buddy wants to borrow your hunting rifle, or you're going on a month-long trip to Europe and you want your guns to be secured in your friend's safe next door, you'd have to go through a background check, legally transfer title of your guns to that individual, and then legally transfer title back to yourself when you're done.
So here's my thing. I'm so glad that this is finally being really actually talked about. This whole universal background check thing, this is nothing but a prelude to a gun buyback, aka gun confiscation. Because what they're saying is that, just to make sure that everybody understands, what they're saying is that there's a background check ordered now. You can't get a gun without a background check. And what they're trying to say by saying universal is because when they're talking about these private sales like this, and what they were saying, that they don't have access to the FBI database. But any gun store and anybody that has an FFL, they have access to that. And the percentage of people that sell guns in the matter in which she's speaking about, it's so small. That isn't even close to showing, or I mean even close to saying that there's such a large quantity of guns being sold that way, that's why we need this universal background check. It's such a small percentage of firearms that are sold that way. When you're talking about the millions and the hundreds of millions of guns that are in this country, the majority of these guns, the greater majority of these guns are being sold by regular gun store owners and people who have FFLs. And these are all people that are checked and monitored by our federal government. FBI is checking everybody that's moving these guns that got their FFLs. Now, the other percentage, which is what they're talking about as far as how people are getting their guns, especially when we're talking about bad guys, they're getting them illegally. They're stolen from people's homes. They're stolen from people. You got gun dealers, whatever the case may be. That's how the majority of criminals are getting their firearms. So a universal background check would not aid and assist in any of this criminal enterprise that is going on when it comes to people having guns that should not have them. That's a fact. There's nothing that would stop that. That's just what it is. There's nothing that would stop those people that are going to commit crimes, that are hell-bent on committing a crime. There is nothing in place that can keep those people from getting a gun, whether they have a clean criminal history and can purchase it themselves, which a universal background check still wouldn't stop, or they go and get them illegally. There is no way to stop it. So there's no point in even trying to go down this road, except for the fact of them trying to actually get a gun registry so that they can actually say, now we know who got what. And that is only going to affect law-abiding citizens, because we are the only ones that are going to actually register our guns. So then you have to ask yourself this question again. Why would my government want to restrict and or buy back and or confiscate the guns of the law-abiding citizens? Why would they want to put legislation that's going to hinder or going to impede or infringe on law-abiding citizens' guns?
That's the problem.
So, Ms. Ware, real quick. So, the policy of universal background checks, would that have stopped the shooter in Uvalde from acquiring his weapon?
It would not have stopped the shooter in Uvalde.
Would it have stopped the shooter in Parkland from acquiring his weapon?
It would not have stopped, with perhaps one lone exception, a single mass public shooter in the last 20 years, because they all either passed or were capable of passing background checks, and that's the problem.
The shooter in...
Bing bang.
If there's, I mean, you can't get no more proof in that pudding. You just can't get any more in there. You just can't. What he just said and the answer she just gave, that should sum it up as far as this whole banning thing, as far as this whole thing when it comes to background checks and all of that. She said in the past 20 years, all of these people that have been involved in just the mass shootings alone, those people have obtained their firearms legally. So what are we talking about here? Why is this being focused on as part of the problem when it is clearly not? There's clear-cut evidence and statistical data that proves it is not. So why would we be talking about this? It makes no sense.
The shooter in Sandy Hook, the Newtown shooting, did that shooter kill his mother and take the guns?
Yes, he did. And I
Okay.
think, I forget his age, but he otherwise did not have a disqualifying history.
The shooter in Uvalde, did he actually shoot his grandmother in the face before he went to perpetrate the crimes in Uvalde?
To my knowledge, yes.
Folks, here's the deal. One of the things that we've seen through all these mass shootings, I was a member of the state legislature during the Parkland shooting. So I was in the legislature during that time period. The one thing is crystal clear, that these mass shooters that target our schools are all psychopaths. They are psychotic. In Parkland, the red flags were there for everybody to see. The school district did not act. That came out in the Parkland report. The site itself was not secured. That came out in the Parkland report. In Uvalde, the back door was open. It was open, wide open.
It wasn't wide open, but it wasn't locked. That's the point. It wasn't wide open, but it damn sure wasn't locked. And the whole thing is like, why not look at the preventive measures that can be taken? Because when you look at all of our secured buildings, they all pretty much have followed the same blueprint. When you look at going into a courthouse, going into a federal building, why not at least start there by saying we're going to get our schools brought up to at least courtroom and federal building standards? At the least, at an introductory level. You want to start somewhere, that's where you can start.
The perpetrator shot his grandmother in the face. That is insane.
In the face?
I know in this bill, the proposed bill today or tomorrow, they're talking about raising the age to buy rifles from 18 to 21. Are we now going to say that a 19-year-old who is a legal adult in the United States does not have the mental capacity to own a shotgun or an AR-15, but they have the mental capacity to enlist in the military? They have the mental capacity to actually sign legal contracts? They have the mental capacity to be treated as an adult by law enforcement? And they also have the mental capacity to vote in the United States, but they don't have the mental capacity to own a shotgun or to own a rifle and not inflict harm on their fellow man? Look, man, I got 3 sons. 2 of them are.
And is he not making a very valid point? And this is my thing when it comes to just when I was talking yesterday on the show. Whenever you're gonna have a discussion, and whenever you're gonna actually try to have, a real true conversation, this is how you have it. You don't have to say what he's saying, but when it comes to the way that he's saying and how he's presenting it, he's talking about facts. And just think, like he said, when you say raise the age to 21, yeah, that's what we need to do. We need to get the age up, child. You raise the age up, so you telling me, like he said, this person can go to jail, to real jail. This person will be tried as an adult at 18. This person at 18 can go enlist in the military and die for this country. But you're turning right back around in the same sense and saying that this person doesn't have the mental capacity and isn't old enough to actually purchase an AR-15? How does that make any sense? Because if someone was to say, well, we should raise the age of being able to enlist in the military to 21, people would be like, hell no. It makes no sense that I can die for my country, but I can't own a firearm that by the Constitution, the Second Amendment, is telling me that I have a right to have. Makes no sense. Well, those are assault weapons and they're weapons of war. So the fuck what? You think that it's a weapon of war. You think that it's an assault rifle. That's your thought on it, even though it's wrong as shit. That's your thought. Why is it that what you think affects me to what I can or can't have? I go to jail, I get tried as an adult, I'm treated as an adult in this country, but I can't own a rifle? That's insane. The very same firearm, right, Alexandra, the very same firearm you want me to go defend my country with is the very same one that I can't have in my country? That don't make a damn bit of sense. I'm sorry, it just doesn't.
School age now. when these shootings occur, man, they hurt me because I could only imagine what it is as a parent. I'm a parent. But I also understand that I have a responsibility as a legislator to actually defend the Constitution of the United States. The Constitution, the Second Amendment is there. It is our responsibility to defend it. And if we look at the data from the mass shootings that have occurred in the United States over the last 20 years, the one constant, especially when it comes to schools, is that these shooters are young, they are mentally disturbed, and the vast majority of people who are in their age group would not even think or go down the pathway of committing these atrocities. We don't pass laws because of the quote-unquote one or two psychopaths. We only pass laws in order to maintain the actual legal momentum of freedom in the United States. The Second Amendment is not there to stop psychopaths. Let's be perfectly honest with it. It is not. That's not its purpose.
Exactly. That is not its purpose. There are no laws to stop crazy motherfuckers. I don't understand why there's an expectation to have that. There just isn't. It wasn't. They did not write the Constitution. They did not write the Constitution with the mindset of, we got to write this so that crazy people can't. That was not what this is for.
The purpose of the Second Amendment is clear. It is to protect the constitutional rights of American citizens.
Exactly. So that when people get on their national television shows talking about how they feel, they can't tell us what to do. When people who are in political office and who've been living a privileged life for the past 50 years, aka Joe Biden, can't tell us to buy a shotgun and it actually happens. When people like the Whoopi Goldbergs, when people like the Joy Behars, when people like the AOCs, when people like all of these other ones, the Bernie Sanders and going down the road, these seasoned politicians that's been around for 30 and 40 years, who've been living a privileged life, living in their ivory towers, living in their gated communities where shit don't happen. That's why they wrote this, so that those people can't tell us what we can and can't have as citizens. That's just what it is. That's exactly why they wrote this, so that your Justin Trudeau's can't tell us, no, you can't have a gun. Well, what about crime? Call the police. Well, what about when the police don't get there? Oh, well. When the fucking Bloomberg say, you don't need guns, you should let the police handle that. Well, I just saved my family from a fucking intruder coming in my house. I was able to stop him. Yeah, but you still shouldn't be able to do that. You should have to wait for the police. That's exactly what this is for. James Grant said, my question, should felons be prevented from owning weapons? If you are a felon and your crime was a non-violent crime and you served your time and you're now back out in society, you paid your debt, you absolutely should be able to own a firearm. You absolutely. If my crime wasn't, I beat a motherfucker to death. Yep, I said death. If I beat a motherfucker to death, that mean they wasn't dead, but they couldn't hear. That's, no, I'm just saying. But if I did something like that, and it's a violent offense, I tied up a motherfucking chick in a basement or something for 4 weeks, nope, those people shouldn't have guns. But if you committed a crime, whatever other crime that you have, as long as it is not a violent offense, and you have paid your debt to society, I absolutely believe that once your ass get off parole, you should be able to own a firearm. I absolutely believe that. Because if a person can go to jail, serve their time, get out of jail, do their probation period, and have not committed any crime since then, absolutely they should. That is what you would call a reformed individual who has gotten a second chance at life, has gotten a second chance to be a part of society, and hey, why should they not have the same rights as anyone else who has been in society and haven't committed any more crimes? So you absolutely should. Thank you. Juan agrees. If you a violent felon and you did some heinous shit, I'm sorry, but no. And the reason why I say that is because you've now shown, even if after you've been rehabilitated, you've shown that you can lose control to the point to where you can take a life or to where you can do something violent like that. I don't think that the people should have to take a chance on you doing the right thing again when you've clearly done the wrong thing before. As crazy as that may sound, that's just my thing about it. That's just all I'm saying. But anyone else? Yes. Your ass went to jail and you did 9 years for pushing that China white. Hey, man, you served your debt. You back amongst the people. You ain't committed no more crimes. Hey, your parole is over. I mean, you're not parole, but your probation is over. Hey, man, welcome back to society, sir. Please go and purchase a firearm.
These shootings are awful. They're awful. But the data is clear about how to find the people that actually do this. And the measures put in front of us would not have actually stopped these shootings. I'll yield back.
The gentleman's time has expired. Votes have been called to allow members to vote. The committee will stand in.
So I just wanted to show that when it comes to these people talking about having talks about guns and all of that kind of stuff, and talking about, having a conversation and how the whatchamacallit ain't even coming to the table. They can't get the Republicans to the table. Here's the thing. That's the type of conversation that should be had, because when you actually listen to that, when you actually talk about that, how can you dispute that? You may not like it, but how can you really dispute that? That's all I'm saying. How can you really dispute those arguments that he made? You're talking about trying to put legislation into effect that clearly will not address the issue, which is our children being at risk in schools. That's what we're trying to stop. We're trying to stop the next Uvalde. We're trying to stop the next Sandy Hook. We're trying to stop the next Columbine, so on and so forth. The next Parkland. We're trying to stop that. That's the thing. And clearly, having universal background checks ain't the answer. Clearly, banning AR-15s is not the answer. Clearly, putting a full stop, as our president said, putting a full stop to all gun purchases is not going to stop that. That's just what it is. So shout out to Byron for speaking so eloquently and actually bringing facts and actually talking about what really matters and how we should look at actually approaching this. We need to make our schools federal building safe. We need to make our schools courtroom building safe. Period. Period. If you have these courtrooms funneling in literally hundreds and thousands of people, depending on the size of your court, through those courtrooms day in and day out, and there are no mass shootings, I think we could take a page from that book. To be a parent, to be somebody coming into a school, to be a volunteer coming into that school, going through a metal detector with a sheriff's deputy or a police officer, a sworn officer at that door with a metal detector, and you got to take your belt off and walk through and hope you don't be. I absolutely would not mind doing that. If I could do it at a goddamn airport, I damn sure should be able to do it at my kid's school. I'm just saying, it makes perfect sense. Why would that not be the move? If we got money for all this other shit, if we can send $40 billion over to the Ukraine, I'm sure we can find a few billion to get this done. You have it to where all schools have one main entrance. You make sure that all of those doors are locked. Hey, there it is. You put sensors on those doors to show, hey, door 8 8E or door F, door G is showing it's ajar. I can do it with a goddamn home alarm system. Why can't I do it at a school? To know when a door is open or unlocked and to know when a door has been opened. Why would I not do that? That way when the teacher who wants to go be a nosy bitch and go find out what's going on across the street, or the teacher who wants to go to their car because they forgot their cell phone and don't want to go out through the front door and they sneak out through the side because they lazy as fuck, then we would know. That's just what it is. You make it to where those doors got sensors on them so you know when they open, it's no problem. What about fires? The doors are locked from the outside, Ms. Bells. So you have to worry about the fires. They're locked from the outside. So the fact that those doors are locked from the outside, you from the inside, you can still go through. But when that door gets open, that school resource officer gets an alert on their system and say, hey, this door is open. You have cameras at all your doors. That's just what it is. And you don't even have to federalize the schools. You just need to use that model. You just need to use that model. I don't believe that the federal government needs to fund this. I believe it needs to be a partnership as far as the training so that the training is universal. And each state needs to fund their own goddamn schools. They got money for every goddamn thing else. I don't want to expand my government, my federal government for this. I want this to be a thing to where, hey, this is where state government needs to step in. You all have state troopers, you all have county sheriffs, you all have local law enforcement, all of that, you figure it out that way. That's just how it should be done. That's just how it should be done. You get into too much, you get into the weeds with the whole governing aspect of that law enforcement agency because you're talking about one officer in each of these schools. You don't need to do that. You need to have it done and ran by the state. Those are state employees. That's what you do. They're governed by the state legislature as opposed to federal. Because federal gets too far into the weeds with shit. So, without further ado, I want to get into the show. I just really wanted to make that point because I believe that that's really important. I believe that it's really a thing to where we can actually fix this and make this to where these things are minimalized. I don't think it can be to a point to where it will never happen again. I believe that's a great goal to have. But I believe if we put those two simple things, setting up our schools to where they are like you have to go through the security checkpoint like at a jail and like at a courthouse and like at a federal building, it's the same way. You can't just walk into any old building when you go to a courthouse. You can't just walk into any old building when you go to a jail. You can't just walk into any old door, not building, but any old door when you get to any of these other buildings. School should be the same way, and when you get to that main entrance, you got to go through a security checkpoint. You absolutely should. So, with that being said, I'm going to talk to y'all a little bit about Mr. Demond Eskridge. Now, some people may be asking, well, who is Demond Eskridge, Brian? Well, let me tell you, man. I'm going to read this story real quick because it's not that long, and then we actually going to look at this footage because this footage is really telling. So, Cleveland, Ohio. Who was that put in the chat earlier about Cleveland now having being a right to carry state? Where who said that? I can't remember somebody that said it. But I'm glad they are. I believe, and I'm telling you like this. I didn't realize, and this is the part that I wasn't educated on, until they started talking about it here in Texas. Champ, thank you. Yeah, Champ. That's good that y'all going to constitutional carry. I think all of the states should. Because I wasn't really educated on it until they started talking about it here in Texas. What constitutional carry is basically your Second Amendment right to carry. You don't have to go through no class. You don't have to go and pay no fees to the state. You don't have to go and pay no extra fee to the city. You don't have to pay all these different fees to the county. You don't have to do none of that. You literally can go and own a gun because it's your constitutional right. I don't have to pay to have freedom of speech. I don't have to pay to be able to vote. I shouldn't have to pay to carry and own a firearm. Well, I should have to pay for the firearm, but I shouldn't have to pay to have a license to do so. I just shouldn't. Now, here's what I will say, and this is another thing as far as what we can do as a country. If we make constitutional carry across the board, I'm all for having it to where every person that owns a gun has to go through a certification class where they talk about firearm safety, and they actually have a shooting course. I do believe that. Yes, I do believe that. All of these people that are offering these firearm, the same concealed pistol carry classes that talk to you about the different laws and stuff like that in your states, like here in Texas, we got 30-06 and 30-7, where they talk about when and where you can carry those firearms. Those types of things, they are important, and I think everybody who carries and exercises that constitutional right should have to go through that class and get that certification. What the hell was that? But I do believe that. I do believe that. They should have to have it. You can open carry, constitutional carry, you can carry whatever you gonna carry, but you absolutely should have to take that class, and that class should be something that you should have to renew just like your driver's license. So you take it once, you ain't got to go again for another 2-3 years or something like that, or make it to where you got to go every 2 years, and that's fine. I would not mind paying for a class like that, as long as the price is reasonable. Ain't no $400 or no stupid shit like that. But paying $100 to go through a class like that, 16 hours or something like that, yup, absolutely. One day for firearm safety, next day in the course, the next day to go shoot. People should know what a firing pin is. People should know what the trigger guard is. People should know the different parts of a firearm and know what they do and how a firearm works before they just go buy one and walk around with it like they know what the hell they doing. That's all I'm saying. Original Lone Wolf said, how about taking the kids out of the schools? They ain't learning nothing anyway. I don't know about your schools where you at, Lone Wolf, but my kid is learning some stuff. But if you can homeschool your kid, I don't see why you wouldn't. I don't see why you wouldn't. When you talking about having your kid and your kid being able to learn the things that they need to learn and the things that you want them to learn, I don't see why you wouldn't homeschool your child. I don't see why you wouldn't. But Cleveland, home of Bone Thugs and Harmony. We just you with me, more murder, more murder. All right, here we go. 1 week after Cuyahoga Metropolitan Housing Authority police officers responded to an apartment complex where they shot and killed a man who attacked them and grabbed one of their guns. Several videos from the officers' body-worn cameras were released as Cleveland police investigate the incident. The body camera, which was worn by CMHA patrol officers, show him and a sergeant responding to an apartment on East 98th Street at about 5:30 p.m. on Thursday, June 2nd. After neighbors reported a 42-year-old man, later identified as Damon Eskridge, was throwing furniture from his 7th floor balcony. 7th floor. Now, please click that like button for those of you that's watching. Please click that like button and hit that donate button as well. Thank you so much. Thank you kindly. But did you hear that? 7th floor balcony. That's serious shit. I'm just saying. That is serious than a motherfucker. 7th floor? Man, come on here now. This ain't no garden apartment. Motherfucker throwing that shit. He only 8 feet from the ground and no shit like that. 7 stories. When police arrived at the apartment complex, debris and trash can be seen littering the ground in front of the apartment building. Speaking to a neighbor who can't be heard on camera, the officer responds, "Looks like it, but we can't prove it. I just want to sit here and at least wait and see if the party throws something else out because we can't prove it." The sergeant notes that the windows of the 7th floor apartment were busted out, which in my opinion believes that that was enough evidence right there. And there is broken glass on the ground below. The sergeant remarks that he wants to see where the broken glass is coming from. "I'm agreeing with you, but I just want to see because we can't. We have to witness it," the officer said, "but I'm still going to generate a damage to property report." Probably got to go for a crisis, the sergeant says. "Officer, absolutely. Sergeant, because if he's in there trashing the unit, we still need to make entry to check it out." "Officer, we can do that?" We can do that. He's not asking the question, or they got the punctuation incorrect. The officer and the sergeant put on their gloves, radio in their report, and make their way up to the 7th floor. And I just want you to hear that part right there. They said they radioed into their report. There's another story that I'm going to do that Brandon Tatum again was talking about, trying to justify what these Uvalde officers did. And they said that one of the officers, or the sergeant, or whoever the guy that was in charge, the chief, he put his radio outside. He took his radio off, saying that, and Brandon is trying to justify him taking his radio off. I ain't never heard of no shit like that. There's never been any training whatsoever where an officer takes off their radio. That's some of the wildest shit I've ever heard. I ain't never did it. I ain't never heard of nobody doing it. Taking off your radio while you're going in for an active shooter, I don't know nothing about it. Unless you exchanging yourself as a sacrifice to a fucking unless you exchanging yourself as a hostage, maybe. That's some shit from the movies. But other than that, I've never heard of that. And he was literally trying to justify it and trying to make it seem like that's understandable. I'm like, man, get the fuck out of here. Taking off your radio. Like, yeah, we got an active shooter. Well, let me take my radio off because I don't want to have that in the way. I might need to use my gun and I don't want the radio. Boy, stop. That's exactly what this motherfucker said. Y'all wait till I do that video. And my thing is, and I'm really starting to see the pattern to where he has this thing to where I understand he's trying to stick up for police in a time to where people are literally just coming down on police way too hard, but you still have to be fair. You still have to understand that, hey, yeah, even though police are in the hot seat, it's been dozens of years, decades where they haven't been. So if they under a microscope right now, it is what it is. But to make excuses for these officers at every fucking turn, he's going too far with that shit. I'm just saying. No, he did. He did. He said, I wouldn't do it, but I could see why he would say that. That's what he said. I saw it, I got it, and I'm going to do it. So we can talk about it then, Michael. He did. And my thing is, he justified it by not condemning it. There are certain things that officers just don't do, and that is one of them. You do not take off your piece of communication with dispatch and your fellow officers. No way. There's no way that you can justify that. That is something that he should not have done. You can't tell me, he chose to do it. I don't know why he did it, but no, you're supposed to condemn that shit. Plain and simple. That's just like an officer saying, yeah, I took my gun off and just set it down on the side here while I went to go investigate. You don't do that. Just like FBI officers, they have this thing where they don't surrender their guns. Don't give up your gun. I'm just saying, you don't do that. You don't take your fucking radio off and just say, yeah, I'm going to set it down over here. And you the fucking chief. No. But I'll get back to that. I look forward to the debate on that. That's going to be good. Let's see. So the officer and the sergeant put on their gloves, radioed in their report, and make their way up to the 7th floor. Once they arrive at Eskridge's unit, the officers knock several times, then immediately opens the unlocked door. He announces police department, then proceeds into the apartment. News 5 spoke to CMHA police officials Thursday. They say could enter the apartment because of probable cause. Absolutely. Upon peering into the bathroom, the officers say, "Oh my God, he's got the tub filled over." So that means water's running over in the tub. It's overflowing. Eskridge, who is nude, that means the nigga's naked, then emerges from the overflowing bathtub and walks towards the officers while saying, "We got a problem." Like Ice Cube and Boys in the Hood. "We got a problem." All right, several times, Eskridge and the officer then grapple with each other and struggle involving all three men ensues. So they basically, what we call in the hood, wrestling with this nigga. So they're wrestling with this nigga in this little small ass area. And then you hear, "He's got my gun," the officer yells out. "He's biting me." Yes, he's biting him. Police officer, and this is the sergeant that's saying this. Both men tried to restrain Eskridge while blurred by police body cam video appears to show Eskridge clamp down on the officer's finger while the sergeant holds him from behind. Eskridge then breaks away from the sergeant, appears to fire a shot with the officer's gun, then spins around and begins aiming the gun at the sergeant. There it is. Now, the plot thickens. The sergeant uses his taser in an attempt to subdue Eskridge, while the officer appears to grab Eskridge's arms to keep him from aiming the gun at the sergeant. As Eskridge turns and begins to move towards the officer, a shot can be heard. It appears the sergeant shot Eskridge. Eskridge turns around and tackles the sergeant to the ground. There it is. "Shoot him," the officer yells as the sergeant and Eskridge wrestle on the ground. "Give me your gun."
Shoot her! Shoot her!
That's what that motherfucker's saying. That goddamn velociraptor is on his ass. So then the officer then takes the sergeant's guns from his hand and fires a shot at Eskridge point blank. There it is. Eskridge goes limp, and then the officer radios for backup. The officer cuffs Eskridge while the sergeant was on the ground, gets up and begins performing CPR on him. Additional CMH officers arrive and whisk the two officers out of the apartment. They said whisk. I like that. As Eskridge, who police confirms was shot twice by the officers, later died at the hospital. CMHA Police Chief Andy Gonzalez said CMHA Police had previous dealings with Eskridge, but wouldn't elaborate until the investigation into the shooting progresses. The chief also would not name the officers involved in the shooting, but described both as veteran officers. CMHA Police received body cameras 2 months ago. So I'm glad that they actually got them, because they definitely should all have them. I'm just saying, it keeps the story more accurate, and it also will protect both parties. Just saying. Earlier today, police chief officials spoke in a live stream on their Facebook page about the CMHA incident and a separate officer-involved shooting in Maple Heights. Okay, and that's something else. Did not allow for questions. So that's pretty much what the story says. Now, the other part to this, and which I think is more important, is watching the actual footage, because the footage tells a great deal about what happened. And I'm going to say this. These officers, they really did, in my opinion, they made several mistakes. They made several mistakes. They made several mistakes when it came to once they entered and saw what was happening. And this is why I always say this. When you take into account the totality of the circumstances, you have to understand what the fuck you dealing with, and you need to proceed accordingly. And I'm going to show you exactly what I mean when you guys see this. So this is the short version of it. This right here, what I'm about to show you, let me see if I can make it a little larger. There we go. Yeah, this right here, what I'm about to show you is basically showing what these officers have seen. Fuck the outside part, because we're going to see that too. But this is them coming into the door. This is what they see. Now, when you see all of this shit inside of an apartment, what the hell do you think kind of person lives in this shit? Do you think a person who lives like this is a sane person? Or do you think this person is a crazy sumbitch and you just might have to put this motherfucker down? Normal people do not live like this. This is some shit a goddamn orangutan would have a tidier place than this. Might be some more shit on the floor, but an orangutan is gonna live in better conditions than this. Bruno the chimpanzee, y'all remember that video I did about Bruno? Bruno the chimp lived better than these motherfuckers did.
Police department.
Look at this shit.
30703, we're checking the unit.
Look at that.
Copy, checking 7.
Look at the amount of just debris and just squalor that a motherfucker ain't just did this in 10, 15 minutes, 30 minutes. No, this is how this motherfucker's living. Look at how cloudy that fish tank is. I bet you there ain't a drop of water in that motherfucker. That ain't messy, a sheet of cool pee. That's nasty. That's filth. As a shout out to DJ Just J. The amount of squalor that these people are living in. DJ be saying that word. Squalor. This is fucking filth on a whole new level. The nigga has a large screen, a flat panel TV box still in the motherfucking house. Why? That ain't no new TV box. That box old as hell.
No 3.
Police department.
Look at that. Nigga got more clothes on the floor than hanging up in the closet. In the closet. There are more clothes on the floor of that closet than there are hanging up in that closet. I'm telling you right now, I've been in nasty fucking buildings. I've been in nasty fucking apartments like this. And when you see some shit like this and what this motherfucker has already done, I'm not playing with this crazy motherfucker. This motherfucker's in here high as shit or he's fucking off his rocker. So you know what I'm going in? Ready? Hey, partner, you can drop this taser if you want to. I'm going Glock. I don't believe in that taser. Y'all know I don't fuck with that taser. And this is another instance where the taser will get you fucked up. I don't like fucking with these tasers because I don't know if they need to increase the voltage or what. But I don't like them because these motherfucking tasers have, especially when it's people that's hopped up on drugs or just a crazy motherfucker, aside from the small percentage of humans that are just impervious to this shit. I don't want to, because when you deploy this shit, you're deploying it in a situation where you're trying to subdue someone. You're trying to place someone under arrest or you're trying to get them to stop doing a particular act that is breaking the law. And I don't want to have to deal with that with the hopes of that motherfucker working. I just don't. Look at this nasty ass shit. That's not, I just got mad an hour ago and now I'm tearing up my house. No. That's, I've been living like a goddamn homeless person for the past several years and I don't give a fuck about this place. Because I don't give a fuck about myself. there.
Oh my God, he got the tub filled over.
Now, look at that. That's what you looking at. And the person who you coming to motherfucking arrest, this motherfucker is in the tub with the tub overflowing. And I know it's somebody that's thinking, well, maybe it was something wrong with them. Maybe they were stressed out, or maybe they're bipolar, or maybe they haven't taken their medication. As a police officer, it is not my job to assess that. It is my job to look at this motherfucker, know that this motherfucker is breaking the law, and I'm now coming to arrest this motherfucker. I ain't playing. I'm not playing. Look, we got a problem. This right here lets me know, yep, I'm about to shoot this motherfucker. I'm telling you, look, I'm telling you right now, I'm not wrestling with no naked ass nigga. I'm not doing it. I'm just not. I am not going to do it. The minute I saw that nigga in that tub and he didn't try to put on no clothes and he get out and talk about we got a problem, that nigga going out like Ice Cube, nigga, we got a problem. You know what's going on in my mind? As a person, as an officer, I'm going to tell you what's going on in my mind. That's what's going on in my mind. I'm a sworn officer, and that's what I'm thinking the minute this wet, naked ass nigga gets out the tub talking about we got a problem. Yes, because I'm gonna have to kill this nigga if his dick touch me anyway. I'm telling you that right now. If this nigga, any part, if this nigga dick touch my pants leg, I'm ready to shoot this nigga. I'm not playing around with this motherfucker, man. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Because I'm telling you right now, the nigga ain't in there washing his ass. He just sitting there in this tub. I know this nigga, by how he living, he's not a cleanly man. I'm not about to deal with this shit. I'll be like, hey, man, you fuck around with this bullshit, you come out here, I'm going to shoot your ass. I'm not playing with you. I'm not playing with you. I'm not about to deal with this shit. And that nigga get out, motherfucker talking about we got a problem, dick swinging, with an attitude after he done threw half of his apartment out on the streets. Nigga, I got something for you. I got a double tap right here for you. And then your ass, that nigga said, he rolled about that tub like Jason came out of Crystal Lake. Look, it's just some things, man, I'm not about to deal with. And then you go try to wrestle this nigga in this little ass area. Look at this little ass area that they in. What tactic am I gonna use to get this nigga? What tactic do you use? The slippery when wet hold? There isn't one. I'm already gonna be like, man, come on, man. I ain't trying to do this. I ain't trying to do this. If I'm not ready to shoot this motherfucker, I'm retreating. I'm gonna be like, Sarge, get the fuck out of here. Let's get the fuck out of here, Sarge. Sarge, get the fuck out. Sarge. Sarge, let's go. Sarge, let's get the fuck out. Sarge, let's go. I don't feel like dealing with this nigga. I'm not gonna do it. Wrestling with all this dirty shit, boy, you fuck around wrestling with this nigga, you get hepatitis A, B, C, and D. That doctor come tell you, Mr. Redmond, you have hepatitis. Well, which one do I have? All of them. I don't know where you were. Maybe you were in a garbage dump or you were swimming in raw sewage. I don't know, but you have every single version of hepatitis. Just saying. That nigga said, I quit the force the next day. I'm just telling you, I'm not about to deal with this shit. I'm not doing it. That's the job. No, this ain't the job. This ain't the job. This nigga could be on a crack binge. This nigga, he said he was in that tub, hot oil crack wrestling. Hot oil crack wrestling. I'm not doing it. I'm calling for backup. Send me everyone. And we'll tussle with this nigga then. It ain't just gonna be, that ain't no two-man show right there. Nope. But watch what happens.
Got a problem? What are you doing, man? Yeah! Fighting. Got my gun.
You hear that nigga? He like, yeah!
Fight me. Got my gun. He got my gun. He got my gun, all right? He got my gun.
Yes, this is what's going on. This is what's going on. You tussling with this nigga and trying to hold and grab this motherfucker. Your finger get caught in this motherfucker's mouth, and now Sarge about to get his motherfucking finger bit the fuck damn near off. And all this nigga doing is embracing the fucking fight. Yeah! Ah! That's what he has been waiting for. Right, the nigga probably did oil himself up just to make it more interesting. He said he came out that tub all business. I'm telling you, this is what the fuck this nigga, he's been looking for. He been waiting on this. He been planning this all week, Jake. But at this point, I'm like, shoot time! Shoot time! That's what I'm doing.
Get off my...
See? He got a shot off at the officer. And that's why I said these dudes trying to tussle and wrestle with this nigga, they should have got the fuck up out of there. I would have pulled my gun. Look, I'm telling you right now, Calvin said, what would I have done? I would have pulled my gun out based on what was happening already. Because the fact that he's throwing this furniture off a 7-story fucking balcony, he could kill somebody with that. So that means this motherfucker obviously, and he's thrown out quite a bit of shit, this motherfucker's obviously not in his right mind. So therefore, I'm going in tuck ready. Now, Sarge can have that motherfucking taser. I don't carry a taser. I'm not doing that. I ain't carrying that taser shit. Sarge can get a taser, but I'm going in and I'm peeking around that corner. I'm not just walking in, police department. Yeah, police department. Oh, wow, the tub is overfilled. Nope, I'm going in there looking for crazy motherfucker. Hold on, Sarge. Let's take this shit slow. Because I don't know where this crazy motherfucker at. And I don't know where the fuck he might pop up out of. Nope, we taking this shit slow. And the minute I saw his ass in that tub, I'd be like, hey, man, look, you are under arrest. Lay down on the ground. And the minute he came, you got a problem. You got a problem. Pop, pop. Oh. That's what I'd have did. Shots fired. Shots fired. Naked nigga down. That's what I would have said. Fuck that.
Shoot him! Shoot him!
There you go. Just that quick. That's how it goes down. In the C. In the O. In Ohio. Hold on. Let's see. Is this the one? I think this is the one I had just for back.
We're getting our first look at body camera video from last Thursday's deadly police shooting at a Cuyahoga Metropolitan Housing Authority apartment complex. We're showing it to you to provide more context as to what led police to shoot and kill a 42-year-old man inside his apartment. And it comes with this warning. Some of what you're about to see may be very disturbing. News 5 investigator Scott Knoll in the newsroom with the latest on the investigation. Scott.
Rob, CMHA police say they responded to the Union Square apartments after receiving calls a man was throwing items out his apartment window. On a patrolman's body camera video, you see what appears to be items scattered in the street below the Union Square.
Do you see that? Now just look, let's just count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It looked like it's an 8-story building, but that shit is damn near at the almost one floor beneath the top. Shout out to my man Billy Go. Hit your boy with $3. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Hit that cash app, y'all. There it is. Look at all of the shit that's down there. You got chairs, pieces of couch. You got all kind of shit. That shit can kill somebody, man. I'm not dealing with this shit. Nope. I already know what kind of motherfucker I'm dealing with. This ain't no domestic. This motherfucker up here by himself wilding the fuck out. Nope.
Apartments. As CMHA police try to determine where the items are coming from, it appears the sergeant believes the man inside is experiencing a mental health episode.
There you go.
For a crisis. Absolutely. Because if he's in there trashing in, we still got to make entry, check on him.
The video shows officers arrive on the 7th floor. The door to apartment 703 unlocked.
Police department.
Officers enter, eventually encountering the man as he gets out of the bathtub.
Thanks, Ken.
The video shows he's naked and wet.
You got a problem?
We got a problem.
A fight breaks out. In the process,
My gun! My gun!
the patrolman says the man has his gun and says the man bites him. The sergeant attempts to use a taser. Then the man fires the officer's gun before police shoot the man, hitting 42-year-old Demond Eskridge twice. Eskridge died at the hospital. Cleveland police are investigating the shooting. Today, investigators said while the body camera video is a piece of that investigation, more work needs to be done before a special prosecutor presents the case to a grand jury to decide whether or not officers followed the law.
These investigations do take time. In order for this to be a thorough and complete investigation, we need to put everything together.
CMH.
Man, that shit is put together. Naked nigga, crazy, came out, bit a finger, took a taser, and they had to put that nigga down. That's exactly what this shit is open and shut. It's like sometimes we just go too far. I get it that you want to be politically correct and you don't want to fuck up or nothing like that, but this shit here, man, you know good and goddamn well what happened. You know good and goddamn well what the fuck happened. Oh, this is the full video here. Yeah, this is what I wanted to show you. That just had a couple of stills showing the gun in that dude's hand. I think that's the reason why I pulled that one, why I kept that, so that you can actually see the gun in his hand. But because they went in and you know what you're dealing with, you still have to be expecting the worst. And this is where these officers screwed up at. Y'all have to be expecting the worst. Just walking up into that house, I get that was your initial intention, but once you saw how that place looked, that should have let you know that you're not dealing with a sane person. That should have let you know that this person here, aside from the shit he's already chucked off the side of his off the balcony, this person's not stable, and this person could be trying to do anything to harm us or himself. Let's approach with extreme caution. Just saying.
Shootings. Both of them took place in the city of Cleveland. Neither of them were Cleveland officers. The one we're about to show you, was a Cuyahoga Metro Housing Authority officer. The other that we're waiting for yet later today was a Maple Heights officer that had taken a chase into the city of Cleveland. So while the City of Cleveland Division of Police is the lead on the investigation, they are not investigating their own officers. In fact, there has been two special prosecutors called for from the state,
Oh shit, I did not mean to do that. God damn it. Hold on, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm trying to turn this other goddamn thing off, and I screwed up. Shit. I don't know why the hell this shit is pissing me off. There we go.
that I've seen in my career. This is one of the most graphic and tough to watch situations. It is of 42-year-old Demond Eskridge. There had been a disturbance at his CMHA housing. This was an apartment complex, the Union Square Apartments. Off of his 7th floor balcony, he had been launching furniture out of his apartment. That's why CMHA police were called because it is one of their buildings. In fact, the first video I'm going to show you is when the officers arrive. You can see the amount of material that Eskridge has already thrown from his apartment. It is laying in the front yard there of the apartment building, and they are making the decision about to go in and see. You can see some type of mattress, refrigerator, some buckets that have already been launched.
And you talking about coming up from a 7th floor building. 7th floor building. You got kids out here, man, that could be playing, and that shit could have hit one of them. Old lady coming in from the grocery store. Anything could have happened. This dude right now is a danger to not just himself, but to society. And you can see where they telling you where he broke the windows out. He didn't even have mindset to even open up the goddamn window. He just broke the shit out and threw the shit clean out from there. Nope. I'm going in hot and ready like a Little Caesar's pizza. Fuck that shit. I'm just saying. Shout out to my brother Easy.
Off of his 7th floor apartment. Now, at this point, the officers make the determination they need to go into the building and into that apartment, or at least to see what is going on there on the 7th floor. This is my last graphic warning. You are about to see a struggle between a suspect and 2 CMHA officers. In this struggle, the suspect is going to jump up out of a tub that is overflowing with water. He is going to confront the officers, and in the struggle with 2 officers, the suspect is able to get control of the first officer.
And the reason why he was able to get control is because they were not expecting the fight. They weren't expecting the fight. So you have to actually be, now Lance is cool, he ain't gonna say shit else, he fine. You have to be able to expect the fight at all times, which is why they walked in a little too nonchalant. They walked in thinking they was gonna find some old guy sitting there saying, yeah, my wife just left me. Nope, you got a crazy ass wet nigga in a tub. And once they saw that he was in a tub, they should have backed up in the first goddamn place. At that point, I'm trying to get this nigga commands, because that's not fucking normal behavior. A man sitting in an overflowing fucking tub in the nastiest apartment in the whole goddamn building, and you trying to do what? Talk to this motherfucker? Really? Really? Not, hold on, officers, let me get my towel, I'll be out in a second. He said nothing except for, we got a problem, and ensued the motherfucking tussling match. They were not expecting that shit. You have to expect it all the time. And they had clear indicators showing that you dealing with a crazy motherfucker. You had clue after fucking clue. From the moment you were outside, you saw, man, only a crazy motherfucker gonna do some shit like this. You get upstairs to the apartment, see that the apartment is open, you open the door, and you see how nasty the place is. Only a crazy motherfucker's gonna live like this. You then proceed into the building, announcing yourself as police officers, and you get to the bathroom, and you see that not only is this nigga in the tub, but this nigga's in the tub while it's overflowing with a bunch of shit every goddamn where. The place is fucking filthy. This is not normal people behavior.
Officer's gun. He actually fires that gun at the sergeant, the CMHA sergeant. He is not hit, but it is that point that you're going to see the other CMHA officer return fire. But again, take a look at the video for yourself. We're going to show it a couple of times. We have tried to be sensitive here, but this is in the era of transparency. The city of Cleveland has released this video so that people can make up their mind just based on this piece of evidence, that it can help spell out what happened last week on June 2nd. Take a look.
Look at that shit. It's water even out here. It's water out here at the front door. Need I say more? This is not normal shit.
Police department.
Radio 703, we're checking the unit. Copy, checking 703.
You can clearly see the busted out fucking windows. You can clearly see, okay, this motherfucker in here is on some other shit.
Police department.
Blood and shit on the wall. Man, come on, man. And you walk into all this shit, and this nigga with no goddamn lights on in the motherfucking tub. Man, I'm not playing with that. Nope. My mind is straight. Oh, it's time to purge. It's time to purge. That's just all I'm thinking. I'm not about to play with this motherfucker.
The tub fell over.
You got a problem?
You got a problem?
What are you doing? Fighting. Got my gun. Got my gun. He fighting me. Got my gun. He got my gun. He got my gun.
Right, Jason. Imagine, you already see how it looks, and Jason made a good point. Imagine the smell. Imagine how it smells in there. And you still think that this is a normal, law-abiding citizen up in this motherfucking house? Man, please.
Get off my...
Let me tell you something. As a police officer, and as a man, period, this is a nightmare of mine. This is a nightmare. Now, me personally, I'm terrified of needles, and I'm terrified of knives. I never want to get shot. I never want to get stabbed, and I don't like needles. However, I don't never want life and a series of unfortunate events to take place to where I'm in this position where a naked ass nigga is on my back. I just don't. I don't care what happens in this world. I just don't want to be ever in this situation where I'm in a fight for my life and the nigga that's on my back is naked as you please. I don't want to be in that situation. Hence, that's why I would shoot this motherfucker. I'm just saying. That nigga would have motherfucking got up out that motherfucking, he'd got up out that goddamn tub, and the next thing he'd have been saying is, he broke my collarbone. That's all I'm saying. I'm not playing around with no motherfucker, because this is the type of situation where you fuck around and wind up dead.
Give me your gun.
Look at this shit.
Shots fired! Shots fired!
Now, we stopped the video shortly after the suspect was shot. We stilled it right there. It is extremely graphic. I can tell you that as the suspect gets a hold of the first officer's gun, the body cam that you're watching is of the officer that has his gun taken by the suspect, and he has his hand up and around the suspect's mouth. You can hear him say, "He bit me." In fact, the officer has the tip of his finger bitten off by the suspect, and you hear the officer saying, "He's got my gun."
And I'm telling you like this, when you dealing with a motherfucker like that, and that he said that nigga growling, when you dealing with a motherfucker like that, and that nigga actually is biting your finger, that ain't no little nibble. That ain't no little nibble that this nigga's getting. This nigga's literally trying to bite through his finger. People don't realize that when motherfuckers are biting your finger like that, they are trying to bite through your finger. They're trying to bite your finger the fuck off. It's not a thing where I'm just like, nigga. No, they're trying to literally apply all of the pressure that they have to actually bite your finger the fuck off of your hand. That's just what it is. So it's like that type of pain in itself would be like, hey man, y'all stop all that stupid shit with the fucking Green Bay Packers. For real. It's enough of that bullshit. God damn. What the fuck I'm talking about in this show ain't got shit to do with no fucking Green Bay Packers. Enough's enough. But somebody who's trying to literally bite off your finger, that's an excruciatingly painful situation to be in. And that's why the dude is saying, like, man, shooting just like the other guy in that other video I did a while ago where the guy was getting his finger bit off and he shot the motherfucker. And people were like kind of like not understanding it. Man, that's a whole different level of fucking pain. You don't want to have your finger bitten, and you damn sure don't want a nigga you don't know trying to bite your finger the fuck off. That shit that ain't even no thing where, oh man, that shit hurts. No, that shit is excruciating. Excruciatingly painful. And the good thing is at least they had on gloves to try to help with the shit with protecting their finger, because you get bitten by a human like that, nigga, you gotta get a motherfucking shot. Because of the bacteria that nasty fucking human beings carry, you get bit like that, you have to get a shot after that. And hope that your finger don't get bitten off and you got to get your shit put back on. That's not normal shit, and that shit is definitely worthy of getting the fuck shot. Yes, you get tetanus, get gangrene to set in, you don't get that shot, boy, that gangrene to set in, you lose your goddamn finger or your hand.
He's got my gun. The struggle continues. It gets away from the second officer. The second officer gets out his taser. He tases the suspect, who now has the officer's gun. The taser clearly has no impact on this suspect, and that's when you hear the first shot go off. We're going to show this to you again. That first shot that goes off is the suspect with the CMHA officer's weapon, who fires a shot at the sergeant. It misses him. That's when the officer who deployed his taser.
And here's my thing. One of the things that we learned as training as an officer, one of the things that you always do whenever you're dealing with a person, whether it's just a simple traffic stop or whether it's just a simple interrogation, you just asking the motherfucker some questions. You always stand in a position to where your gun side is the furthest away from that person. And you'll see officers doing that. They should do that. It's very rare that you should be what we would call squared up with a civilian or an assailant, bad guy, whatever you want to call him. Very seldom. When you're talking with somebody, you should always be to the side. You should always be to where your gun hand is the furthest away from that person. So if I'm standing right here and I'm talking to you, I should be standing like this. Not just me standing squared up like this, because another thing too, when you're squared up with someone, it makes you vulnerable to being pushed over. If I have my legs spread this way and I'm kind of like sideways to you, if you push me, I still have my back foot, my back leg to actually stable myself so that I can resist what it is that you're trying to do. So like a person, if I'm approaching someone, if I got my gun now, I'm approaching from like this. I'm not walking straight up like this, like, hey, no, I need to approach like this, to where I'm walking up, inching up, whatever you want to call it, going to somebody. Because if you do need to go for your gun, you can stick your hand out to give you more time. Because in this situation, seconds count. You can then pull your gun and you can fire from here. You don't have to always fully extend, especially if you're in a tight spot. in a tight place. If I get a motherfucker that's rushing me, I can push that motherfucker, try to do a palm strike on that motherfucker. All the while, I can be getting to my gun so that I can then, from here, shoot that person. I don't have to fully extend being that tight and that close. So it's just some things to think about. Even if you're concealed carry for civilians, you having a conversation with someone, or there's an altercation or something like that going on, and you getting involved, whatever the case may be, or it's already involving you, turn to the side. Don't stand there on the X as what's my man name? Why would he say that? Oh shit, I can't think of his name. The gun dude with the YouTube channel. Ah shit, it'll come to me. But you don't want to be standing there on that X squared up to where a motherfucker can just rush your ass and push you over. Grab your gun. Go for your gun. Be able to create some type of fucking distance. Be able to push a person off to give you a few more seconds to get your gun. Because if you don't, you're putting yourself at risk to where this is happening, where someone has rushed you and got so close up to you that you now have to use both hands. No, not Mike Glover, the white guy that always says the responsibility of the fight is always yours. The responsibility to stay in the fight is always yours, or some shit like that. I can't think of his goddamn name. Yeager. Yeager. Yeah, Yeager. I can't think. Is it Matt Yeager? Is that his first name? But yeah, Yeager. That's his name. But when you're looking at situations like that, you have to make sure that you are in the best position possible to defend yourself, because you never know when shit can go left and what else can happen. Yeah, and I agree. Had that been a female officer there, yeah, one if not both of them probably would have been shot, or at least it would have been at least shot, if not killed. James Yeager, thank you. Yeah, James Yeager. He always says that, don't get caught standing on the X. But that's my thing. You have to be able to keep that shit in mind, and as police officers, you always have to have a tactical approach to every situation. When you're walking into a place that you are not familiar with, you should be approaching it tactically, not just walking in. Police, hey, how's it going? We want to talk to you for a minute. Officer, police department. Police department. Hey, where are you at? Show yourself. You hear motherfuckers sloshing around in the goddamn tub. Hey, man, don't come out here. Put your hands up, lay down. You better start giving commands or something. Because that guy, if he's doing some crazy shit like that with all this shit that's going on, it's probably not going to turn out good. I don't know if I've seen that the ASP self-protection channel. I don't know which one that is. Right, she said, I didn't mean show yourself, like all of yourself. Hey, man, put your dick up and put on some drawers at least, nigga. That's what you better start saying or something.
Gets out his weapon. The suspect and the first officer are wrestling on the bed, and then you hear the second shot ring out. That is the officer who deployed his taser. It didn't work.
Right.
He now fires at the suspect who was wrestling on the bed with the first officer. When he shoots the suspect, that's where we stilled it the first time. I have seen this video in its entirety. I can tell you we have stopped it there out of sympathy for the family. But what happens from there is, as the officer fires that shot and hits the suspect in the back who was wrestling on the bed, the suspect then flips around and jumps from the bed to the officer who fired the shot, gets on top of him. We stilled that shot where you can now see the suspect on top of that officer.
And just like how he's saying, you in a situation now to where this dude is on top of your partner or on top of your sergeant, whatever the case may be. And it's like, you don't want to get, and I keep telling people this, you don't want things to get too far, because in some of those instances, that person could severely get injured, or that person could fuck around and get killed, even though you are shooting this other guy. You could then, in trying to shoot him, you can fucking shoot this person. The bullet can fucking take a wrong turn and go and hit your partner. A lot more shit can happen is what I'm saying, which is why you want to try to prevent that close quarters combat scenario where you wrestling and fighting with a person who has your gun or your partner's gun. And it's like, in today's world, why would you not expect a motherfucker to be hopped up on something? Why would you not expect somebody who's doing what it is that they're doing to not be a sane person? Just saying.
On the ground, and the officer on the ground is now saying, shoot him. The problem is, the first officer, his gun is gone. The suspect had his gun, and now it's somewhere on the bed that's recovered later. The officer that's on the ground is saying, shoot him, and you hear the first officer say, give me your gun. So the officer that's laying on the ground with the suspect on top of him has his gun here, and he hands it to the first officer. That officer takes the gun and does fire another shot at the suspect as he is wrestling with the second officer, the officer that deployed the taser. It is a lot to take, and we have tried to be sensitive here, but in the air of transparency and people wanting to see what happened so that they could claim whether they knew the officer was...
And my thing is this. I think that police officers should absolutely show this. I think the police department should absolutely be transparent with this, because it shows people who aren't in these type of situations, who ain't never seen this before, what it's actually like to be in it in the moment. You get to see it in the moment, because it's one thing when you read about it, it's one thing when it's blurred out, but when you actually get to see it, that's when you realize. Because a lot of people always have this mentality of, he ain't had to shoot him, no, or he ain't had to shoot him 4 times. He ain't had to shoot him. He could have just shot him in the hand. It's like, you don't have the opportunity to do that and to be that precise when it comes to stuff like this, because it's happening so fast. And when you have someone overpowering you, when you got somebody literally giving you the best that they've got, they giving you that Anita Baker, then that's exactly what you're doing. You have to protect yourself and defend yourself accordingly. Shout out to my man Jermaine, hit me with $2. Appreciate it, man. Thank you. You have to defend yourself accordingly, because your life is on the line. So it's not a thing where you got to think, oh, I got to make this look good so the people won't be mad. Nope. I got to get this naked ass nigga up off me is all you thinking about. I got to get this nigga who's biting my fucking finger off to stop. That's why when people do shit like that and they get shot, they should. They should. You should not have to try to figure out how to get a crazy son of a bitch off of you. So you should not have to try to figure out how to get a drug addict up off your ass. I want him up off of me. Once I get him up off of me, I get him in cuffs, whole different story. But until then, the fight for my life is on. And that's how you have to approach it, because you don't know what this person's trying to do to you. Is this person trying to choke me, stab me, bite me, whatever the case may be? He's causing me grave bodily harm. I am going to defend myself the best and fastest way possible. That's just it. I'm not thinking no other way, except for how the hell am I going to get out of this?
In the right or in the wrong. We've tried to show you what we can. We're going to take you through the video again. Here are the officers showing up to the apartment. We'll take the banner down so that you can see it.
Gun out right now, once I see that.
Police Department.
Show yourself. Where are you? That's just what I'm thinking. Where are you? Sir, ma'am, whoever is here, police, show yourself. Come out now. Come out now. Where are you?
Oh my God, he got the tub filled over.
Oh my God, he got the tub filled over. And there go that crazy nigga. Sir, get down right now. Get on the ground. Get on the ground, sir, before I shoot. Bang, bang, bang. That's it. And he loving it. Yeah!
My gun! He biting me!
Yeah!
He got my gun!
Listen to that nigga growl.
He got my gun! He got my gun!
Ah! He's enjoying this shit. Look at that shit.
Sorry!
That nigga almost got teabagged. Boy, please, I ain't doing it.
Sorry! Give me your gun! Shots fired! Shots fired!
It is a tough video to watch, to say the least. But again, in
I'm not
the
doing
era
it.
of transparency, that's why we have let you watch the video here on our digital platforms.
I'm not doing it.
It will be
I'm not
edited
doing it.
for
This is what
television
happened.
news. It is tough to watch, knowing that Eskridge does not survive. I can tell you that after the shots are fired and the officer that's on the ground is still sort of entangled with Eskridge, after about a minute and a half, 2 minutes, they're able to get the cuffs on Eskridge, and the officer that was on the ground with him does start to perform CPR. They call for EMS, the ambulance to arrive, they get there and try to perform CPR, but Eskridge does not survive.
And yes, all safe cybersecurity is definitely right. That's why you don't half-ass an entry. Never. Never, ever, ever. You don't half-ass entries. You don't half-ass traffic stops. You don't half-ass this shit because you never know what's happening. And my thing is this. They have already admitted the fact that they've dealt with this motherfucker before. And I'm pretty sure it was on some crazy shit then. Everybody, like somebody even said earlier, everybody in that whole goddamn complex know that this nigga's probably crazier than a motherfucker. And we have this shit happen all the time where these people have these crazy ass relatives and then they can't deal with them but call the police and don't want the police to defend themselves. They just want the police to get fucked up, killed, stabbed, severely, gravely injured, eye plugged out, whatever the hell else can happen to him. And they just say, I don't know why he doing this. He ain't taking his meds. Yeah, well, because your uncle or your brother or your cousin or your auntie ain't taking their meds, that don't mean that I get to take their ass whooping. It don't mean that. And yes, this is definitely another instance where a female officer should never be on a call like this. Because a female officer, they probably would have died. You had 2 females responding to this call, they probably would have died. And that they would have came there and the police would have got there and there'd have been 2 officers dead and that nigga would have probably been back in that motherfucking tub with some rubber dub with his motherfucking rubber ducky talking about we got a problem too. Just saying. So, I'm glad I was able to break this down and actually point this out. This is, to me, an open and shut case as far as a justified shooting. It absolutely is. They actually fucked up and they waited too long and they approached this building the wrong way. Going entry into this apartment, they definitely, you can take some notes on this and figure and learn what not to do. You go into somebody's house, you go into somebody's apartment, and you don't know what the hell you looking at, but you see a bunch of fucking trash and shit like that, assume the worst. The fact that you couldn't just readily lay eyes on this person, you don't know if this person was laying in wait with a fucking butcher knife or not. Why you walking up in there all willy-nilly? You have to make a tactical approach when you going on this type of shit because you never know what someone's intentions are. So therefore, you should always intend that these motherfuckers have bad intentions. And I'm not just talking about the song with Dr. Dre and that other nigga that be like, all I really know is yo ho wants to be with me. You always have to anticipate the worst and expect the worst so that you can be prepared for it, so that you can respond appropriately to it. That's your job as a trained law enforcement officer. You're the trained professional in this situation. You need to make sure that you're able to respond in the appropriate way and using the appropriate amount of force, because if you don't, somebody else can get their life taken. And it may not be the bad guy next time. It could be the officer. JB just said an officer was just shot and killed yesterday on a domestic disturbance call. Y'all always know what I say about domestics. The worst call to go on is a domestic call. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. I hope that this video helps someone become a better version of themselves. I hope that the police officers that watch this and that see this video will definitely learn and take note on how to actually approach a particular apartment or a particular dwelling, and how to approach people in general. Be prepared for the worst so that you can respond appropriately, because when you don't, that's how shit happens and shit goes left and people get hurt. Innocent people get hurt, and that's how officers don't go home. I want to thank everybody for checking out the show. Please click that like button, click that subscribe button. I will be back soon with another show. I'm definitely going to break down that B. Tatum show. We're definitely going to go over that with the Uvalde police chief finally speaking out and pointing out, yeah, he's still full of shit. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Until next time, y'all have a great night. I love each and every last one of y'all. And remember, y'all could have been anywhere else in the world, but you chose to be here with me. And I really, really do appreciate that. Y'all have a good night. Thanks to everybody who donated. If you're watching this on the replay, please click that like button. And please, please, please click that donate button. Thank y'all so much. Peace. And I'm out.
What's going on, everybody out there in the internet world? It's me, Brian Redmond, also known as the Relationship Rehab. And I need you to do two things. What are those two things? Subscribing to both my channels. I need you to go to the Relationship Rehab, subscribe to that channel, and then I need you to go to United Guns of America and go to that channel. Now you may be asking, why would I do that, Brian? Because it's two of the hottest channels on the internet. Come over there, give me your thoughts, give me your opinions, have conversations, because that's what it's all about. We talk about some of everything: politics, relationships, guns, law enforcement, community stuff. Anything that's happening, I'm willing to have a conversation about it, so come on over. You don't got nothing else to lose, and you ain't got nothing else to do. So come to my channel, subscribe ASAP, and join in on the fun. Twice the entertainment, 2 channels, twice the fun. Come on and have a funky good time with your boy. Peace, and I'm out.